Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. This is Hemalata from Ponvidya Ashram. In today's session, we are going to discuss about Chapter 1, Understanding Diversity from Social and Political Life 1. In this chapter, you will learn that people are different from each other in many ways. Not only do they look different, but they might also belong to different regional, cultural, or religious backgrounds. These differences enrich our lives in many ways and also make them more fun. All these different people who come from all kinds of backgrounds and belong to all kinds of religions and cultures help to make India so interesting and so diverse. What does diversity add to our lives? How did India become like this? Are all kinds of difference a part of diversity? Can diversity also be a part of unity? We'll see in this lesson. Now, I'm going to tell you a story about two boys and their diverse nature. Samir used to move around with his cycle. He saw a boy daily at Janpat crossing, which is a busy intersection, that is road junction. That boy carries English newspapers and sells them by screaming headlines in a mixture of Hindi and English words. Sami bought a Hindi newspaper this time, and that boy was very surprised as Sami knows to read Hindi and that asked Samir curiously how he can read Hindi. Samir replied him that it is one of his subjects in school. But that boy doesn't know what a subject means, as that boy never went to school. But this time, green signal forced Samir to move, and he do so due to the horn from other vehicles. The next day, they shared their personal informations. Surprisingly, the boy who was selling newspapers named to Samir. Samir, who bought newspaper, said that he is Samir Ek and the boy who sells it as Samir Do. They become good friends now. The next day, Samir Do was not receiving Samir Ek with his usual smile. Samir Do said that some communal riot broke out at Meerut, where the whole family is staying, while he was stuck here by selling newspapers. But from next day, Samir Do was missing, and nobody knows where he went. Samir Ek is more familiar with English while Samir Do speaks Hindi. Although they both are more at home in different languages, they still communicated with each other. They made the effort to do so because this was what was important to them. Samir Ek and Samir Do also come from different religious and cultural backgrounds. While Samir Ek is a Hindu, Samir Do is a Muslim. Different religious and cultural backgrounds such as these are an aspect of diversity. In addition to their diverse religious and cultural backgrounds, there are other ways in which Samir Ek and Samir Do are different from each other. For example, while Samir Ek goes to school, Samir Do sells newspaper. Do you think Samir Do did not attend school? Why? Do you think it would have been easy for him to attend school if he wanted to? Samir Do did not have the opportunity to attend school. Perhaps you have noticed that there are several people in the area where you live who are poor and who don't have enough to eat or wear, and sometimes not even a place to live. This difference is not the same as the one we have seen earlier. Here we are talking not of difference but of inequality. Inequality comes about when a person does not have the resources and opportunities that are available to other persons. Just like Samir Ek and Samir Do become friends, you might have friends who are very different from you. You have probably eaten different kinds of food in their homes, celebrated different festivals with them, tried out the clothes they wear, and learned some of their languages as well. Through the story, we had learned that even though there were a lot of differences between them, they become good friends. So, diversity is not the thing which makes us different. Beyond diversity, there are unity among the people. Diversity in India. India is a country of many diversities. We speak different languages, have various types of food, celebrate different festivals, practice different religions. But actually, if you think about it, we do many things that are similar except that we do them in different ways. A little more than 200 years ago, or long before, the train, aeroplane, bus, or car become a part of our lives. People traveled from one part of the world to another in ships, on horses, or camels, or on foot. Often they went in search of new lands or new places to settle in, or for people to trade with. And because it took so long to travel, once they got to a place, people stayed there. Often for a long time, many others left their homes because there were famines and drought and they could not get enough to eat. Some went in search of work while others left because there was a war. Sometimes, as they began to make their homes in new places, people began to change a little, and at other times, they managed to do things in the old ways. So, their languages, food, music, religions became a mix of the old and the new. And out of this intermixing of cultures came something new and different. The history of many places shows us how many different cultural influences have helped to shape life and culture there. Thus, regions become very diverse because of their unique histories. Similarly, diversity also comes about when people adapt their lives to the geographical area in which they live. For example, living near the sea is quite different from living in a mountainous area. Not only do people have different clothing and eating habits, but even the kinds of work they do is different. In cities, it is often easy to forget how closely people lives are tied to their physical surroundings. This is because in the city, people seldom grow their own vegetables and grain. Instead, they depend on the market to buy all the food and other goods that they need. Let us try to understand what we mean when we say that historical and geographical factors influence the diversity of a region. We can do this by reading about two different parts of the country. We'll read about Ladakh and Kerala. Ladakh is a desert in the mountains of the eastern part of Jammu and Kashmir. Very little agriculture is possible here, since this region does not receive any rain and is covered in snow for a large part of the year. There are very few trees that can grow in the region. For drinking water, people depend on the melting snow during the summer months. People here keep sheep, and the sheep in this region are special because they produce pashmina wools. This wool is prized, and pashmina shawls cost a lot of money. The people in Ladakh carefully collect the wool of the sheep and sell this to traders from Kashmir. Pashmina shawls are chiefly woven in Kashmir. The people eat meat and milk products like cheese and butter. Each family owns some goats, cows, and zos, which is yak cows. Being a desert did not mean that Ladakh did not attract its share of traders. It was considered a good trade route as it had many passes through which caravans traveled to what is today called Tibet. Passes are the way through which we can easily cross mountains. Between two mountains, passes will be there. These caravans carried textiles and spices, raw silk, and carpets. Buddhism reached Tibet via Ladakh. Ladakh is also called Little Tibet. Islam was introduced in this region more than 400 years ago, and there is a significant Muslim population here. Ladakh has a very rich oral tradition of songs and poems. Local versions of the Tibetan national epic, the Kesar Saga, are performed and sung by both Muslims and Buddhists. Now, we will see about Kerala. Kerala is a state in the southwest corner of India. It is surrounded by the sea on one side and hills on the other. A number of spices like pepper, cloves, and cardamoms are grown on the hills. It is spices that made this region an attractive place for traders. Jewish and Arab traders were the first to come here. The apostle of Christ, St. Thomas, is believed to have come here nearly 2000 years ago, and he is credited with bringing Christianity to India. Many Arab traders also came and settled down here. Ibn Battuta, who traveled here a little less than 700 years ago, wrote a travelogue in which he describes the lives of Muslims and says that they were a highly respected community. Travelogue are the notes which were written by the people who traveled to different places. The Portuguese discovered the sea route to India from Europe when Vasco da Gama landed with his ship here. Because of all these various historical influences, people in Kerala practice different religions such as Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Hinduism, and Buddhism. While Kerala and Ladakh are quite different in terms of their geographical features, the history of both regions has seen similar cultural influences. Both regions were influenced by Chinese and Arab traders. It was the geography of Kerala which allowed for the cultivation of spices, and the special geographical location of Ladakh and its wool that drew traders to these regions. Thus, history and geography are often tied in the cultural life of a region. The influence of diverse cultures is not merely a thing of the past. Our present lives are all about moving from place to place for work. And with each move, our cultural traditions and way of life slowly becomes part of the new place where we are in. Similarly, in our own neighborhoods, we live close to people from several communities. Our daily lives are about the ways in which we do things together and hear stories about each other's lives, customs, and traditions. Children, you all know very well about our Independence Day, isn't it? It is on August 15, 1947. But before that, the India was not a united country. There were small kingdoms, small provisions, different kind of kingdoms were there. But we became united after we got independence from the Britishers. You know how we got that? We'll see that now. India's diversity has always been recognized as a source of its strength. When the British ruled India, women and men from different cultural, religious, and regional backgrounds came together to oppose them. India's freedom movement had thousands of people in different backgrounds in it. They worked together to decide joint actions. They went to jail together and they found different ways to oppose the British. Interestingly, the British thought they could divide Indians because they were so different and then continue to rule them. But the people showed how they could be different and yet be united in their battle against the British. So, this is a song which was sung after the Jallianwala Bagh massacre in Amritsar, in which a British general opened fire on a large group of unarmed, peaceful people, killing many and wounded even more. Men and women, Hindus, Sikhs, and Muslims, rich and poor, had gathered to protest against the British. This song was composed and sung to honor the memory of those brave people. Songs and symbols that emerged during the freedom struggle serve as a constant reminder of our country's rich tradition of respect for diversity. Do you know the story of the Indian flag? It was used as a symbol of protest against the British by people everywhere. So, in his book, The Discovery of India, Jawaharlal Nehru says that Indian unity is not something imposed from the outside, but rather it was something deeper and within its fold. The widest tolerance of belief and